What is up, my friends? Day 19, 30 days to change. We're in the middle of a section talking about casting off the weights that slow us down from running the race that we were created for. And you've often heard me talk about the power of story and the story that we tell ourselves. And it's just so extremely important because the story we tell ourselves about ourselves is the filter in which we interpret life and interpret ourselves and our place in it. So it's a really big deal. It's important to get that story right. Well, today we're talking about one of the most subtle and cunning villains that that we all risk having hijack our story. And this villain's name is excuses. We all have them, right? Anything we want to do, we want to try to do something, an excuse pops up. And the problem with excuses, and the reason that they're so subtle and cunning, is that we always justify them. We always give them a reason, and it becomes part of our story. Well, I can't do that because, well, I've never been able to do this, I haven't been able to do that, or whatever. But here's the only problem with that. All your excuses are lies. It's one of my favorite quotes of all time. It's from the legendary Jocko Willink, famous former Navy SEAL who is just awesome. If you ever get to see any of his podcasts or get to hear him talk in person, he's just phenomenal. All your excuses are lies is one of his big phrases, and discipline equals freedom is one of his most popular quotes, and they're both absolutely true. So here's how I know that they're lies. Some of you may know I used to work with teenagers for like 15 years, and a lot of that time I spent working with really tough kids, like at-risk youth. They were in gangs. They were, had a history of getting in trouble at school, police records, all that sort of stuff. I loved working with these kids because of the challenge and opportunity that it represented. And it was like my crowning joys to see one of these kids come from that background and then leave our program with, like a better head on his shoulders, clearer thinking, a better appreciation for himself and self-respect and all that sort of stuff. And so I'll never forget the day I had one of my favorite kids, and he would just, getting him to do anything was like pushing a rope. He just wouldn't. And so I asked him to clean the kitchen and clean up around the area, the dining area. And he would always give me excuses, and he'd be like, "What you're asking me to do is physically impossible." And he'd say these like ridiculous things that were hilarious, yet he would always try to avoid the work, right? So all of a sudden one day I had this light come on, and I don't think I've heard this anywhere else. I think I kind of came up with this during this time working with these kids, and I refer to it as the $1 million question. And I'd say, all right, buddy, so say hypothetically I have $1 million cold hard cash, just $1 million cold hard cash. And it takes up a lot of physical volume. It'd be like 2 suitcases full. If I had $1 million in cold hard cash, would you be able to do this? You do this job and I will give you the cash right now. Would you be able to do it? And he's like, well, absolutely. And I was like, all right, so you can do it, you just don't want to. And that's the differentiation we all need to make in our lives, is that we can do the things that we rationalize away with our excuses, we just don't want to. And so that's today's challenge. The next time, I want you to be sensitive of your excuses that you tell yourself, even the subtle ones. Whatever it is, in whatever sphere of life, identify it and ask yourself, if I had $1 million right now, would I be to accomplish this task or do this thing, would I be able to do it? 99% of the chance, 99% of the time, the answer is absolutely. So I figured I'd share that little pearl of wisdom, identify the villain of excuses, expose that sucker for a lie, and then kind of give you one of the solutions that's helped me anyway in really dealing with that, with excuses that I tell myself, because there aren't too many times I've heard myself answering that $1 million question with no. So hope this is a blessing. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for tomorrow, where we're going to be talking about one of the greatest villains in human history, and it's one that we all deal with. It's one that we will always deal with, and I can't wait to share some tips and tricks and just ways that I've learned to deal with that particular aspect as well. So I'm looking forward to being with you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day.